In 1933, the average American household generated less than 1 pound of trash per day. The entire output of a family of 6, for 1 full week, could fit inside a single paper grocery bag. The remaining waste, every banana peel, eggshell, vegetable scrap, ash from the stove, worn-out rag, broken tool, and bent nail, never left the property. It was either composted into the garden, burned for ash, fed to animals, or repaired and put back into use. Today, the same family of 6 generates over 100 pounds of trash a week. Most of it wrapped in plastic that did not exist before 1947. Most of it picked up by a truck that cost the household between $500 and $1,500 a year to keep showing up. That truck did not exist before 1955. The bill did not exist before 1955. The plastic packaging being hauled away in the back of it did not exist before 1955. 3 things vanished in a single decade: the home compost pit, the household burn barrel, and the cultural assumption that everything entering a home was something the family was responsible for, end to end, replaced by a system designed for one purpose: to make sure that what you bought last Tuesday was off your property and into a landfill by next Tuesday, so you could buy more. The American waste management industry generates over $104 billion a year. The total U.S. solid waste market, including disposal, transfer, and processing, exceeds $156 billion. That is one company taking out your garbage. Multiplied across an entire economy, Waste Management Incorporated, headquartered in Houston, Texas, collected over $22 billion in revenue in 2024. Republic Services, headquartered in Arizona, collected another $15.3 billion. Waste Connections, Casella, GFL, the names rotate. The fee on your monthly statement does not. The average American household pays between $40 and $130 a month for trash pickup. Multiplied across the year, that is between $480 and $1,560. Multiplied across a 30-year mortgage, the length of time most people live in the same home, that is between $14,000 and $46,000. Spent removing material that, in the same volume, would have been recycled by the household itself for the previous 170 years of American history. The cost is not just the bill, it is the volume. The Environmental Protection Agency now reports that the average American generates 4.9 pounds of municipal solid waste every single day. In 1960, that number was 2.68 pounds. In 1930, it was under 1 pound. The total trash output of an average American household has nearly quintupled in less than a century. Not because people consume more food. The volume of food a household eats has not changed dramatically since 1930. The volume of packaging surrounding that food has. A single family of 4 now sends 6,570 pounds of trash to a landfill every year. 3¼ tons of material that, in 1933, would have been compost, garden ash, animal feed, kindling, or rags. In 2026, it is plastic, foam, paperboard, mixed laminate, and chemically treated wrapping that nothing on Earth, including bacteria, knows how to break down. The system that replaced this at no cost generated 0 pounds of landfill waste. It had no monthly bill, no truck, no contract, no fuel surcharge, no annual rate increase. It had a compost pit, it had a wood ash bucket, it had a burn barrel. It had a reuse box. That was the entire system. On October 20th, 1965, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Solid Waste Disposal Act into federal law. The bill was sponsored by Senator Edmund Muskie of Maine. It was sold to the American public as a public health measure to clean up open dumps and ban backyard burning that was contributing to air pollution. What the act actually did was hand the entire American waste stream over to a single emerging industry: the newly consolidated municipal sanitation contractors. Companies that, until that year, had served only the densest urban centers, where burning and composting were impractical due to space. After 1965, the federal government began funding the construction of centralized sanitary landfills. The model required higher compaction trucks, centralized routes, billable, metered customers, and, most critically, a regulatory framework that made the home burn pit, the burn barrel, and the household incinerator illegal in nearly every populated municipality in the United States. By 1975, 94% of American households were on a curbside pickup contract. By 1990, the figure was 99%. The financial motivation was massive. Between 1965 and 1975, the American packaging industry tripled in size. Plastic packaging, which barely existed before 1950, became the dominant material in every grocery aisle. Single-use containers, blister packs, foam trays, and shrink wrap were not introduced because consumers demanded them. They were introduced because food manufacturers, having captured the household kitchen with processed and convenience products, needed a delivery system that did not require the consumer to clean and return anything. Once the packaging was waste, somebody had to take it away. That somebody became a billion-dollar industry, then a $100 billion industry. The home solution to the waste it created was not regulated. It was eliminated, not banned outright. Just never mentioned again in any home economics textbook written after 1968. Never referenced in any federal extension service publication after 1972. The compost pit, the ash bucket, and the reuse rotation that had been standard household practice for 200 years were quietly removed from every government-issued homemaking guide within a single decade. The University of California Cooperative Extension conducted a multi-year study during the 1970s on backyard composting versus municipal collection. The study found that a properly managed home compost pit could divert between 40 and 60% of all household waste from the municipal stream at zero cost, with no equipment beyond a shovel and a fenced area roughly 4 feet by 4 feet. The study was published. It was peer-reviewed. It was never referenced in any municipal waste management curriculum, any sanitation department training program, or any homeowner association publication issued after 1980. It was not disproven, it was replaced by a truck. The system has 4 components. Every one of them was standard in every American household between 1776 and 1955. Every one of them is still legal in nearly every American jurisdiction, with minor restrictions on the burn barrel that vary by state. The total cost of setting up the entire system is under $20. Most of that is for the lid on the compost bin. Here is exactly what each component does, what it costs, and what it eliminates. Component 1, the compost pit. A compost pit is a designated area, 4 feet by 4 feet by 3 feet deep, where all organic kitchen and yard waste is layered, decomposed, and returned to the garden as topsoil. The cost is $0 to start, or under $20 if a basic enclosure is built from untreated wood pallets. Hardware store pallets are available free at most lumber yards. The science is straightforward. Organic matter, when piled in the correct ratio of carbon to nitrogen, roughly 3 parts brown material such as dry leaves and shredded newspaper to 1 part green material such as kitchen scraps and grass clippings, generates internal temperatures between 130 and 160 degrees Fahrenheit. That temperature kills weed seeds, harmful bacteria, and most pathogens. Within 60 to 120 days, the pile reduces to roughly 30% of its original volume. What remains is fully broken down humus, the richest topsoil on Earth. To build it, dig a hole or stack pallets in a square. Layer carbon and nitrogen materials in alternating thin layers. Turn the pile every 2 weeks with a shovel or garden fork. Add water if it dries out. That is the entire procedure. A single compost pit handles every banana peel, every coffee ground, every eggshell, every onion skin, every wilted lettuce leaf, every vegetable trimming, every pulled weed, every fall leaf, and every mowed clipping a household generates. That is approximately 40% of the average American trash stream. Eliminated, a bag of equivalent compost from a garden center costs $9 for 40 pounds. A productive compost pit produces between 300 and 600 pounds a year for free. Component 2, the wood ash bucket. Asterisk, a wood ash bucket is a metal container, traditionally a galvanized steel pail with a tight lid used to collect cold ash from a wood stove, fireplace, or burn barrel. The cost is between $0 and $10 for a metal bucket from any hardware store. The same bucket lasts 30 years. Wood ash is one of the most useful agricultural and household amendments ever produced. It contains potassium, calcium, and trace minerals at high concentration. The chemistry is simple. Burning wood drives off carbon and hydrogen as gas. What remains is mineral residue. Rich in alkaline compounds, wood ash sprinkled across a garden raises soil pH, suppresses slugs, and acts as a slow-release fertilizer. A pound of ash treats roughly 100 square feet of garden. Wood ash mixed with rendered animal fat, in the historic ratio used by every American household before 1945, produces lye soap. The same bar covered in your great-grandmother's laundry tub. Wood ash combined with water produces a mild lye solution that strips grease from cast iron, softens hard water for laundry, and scrubs hearths and chimneys. The same bucket also serves as the collection point for paper waste. Newspaper, junk mail, paperboard packaging, cardboard, all of which can be either burned to produce more ash, shredded for compost carbon, or used as kindling. That is approximately 20% of the average American trash stream. Eliminated. Component 3. The burn barrel. A burn barrel is a 55-gallon steel drum with vents cut around the base. Used for the controlled burning of paper, cardboard, untreated wood scraps, and natural fiber waste in rural and suburban properties where local ordinance permits. A used barrel costs between $0 and $20 at any farm supply, salvage yard, or industrial supplier. The barrel lasts 10 to 15 years. The science is the same as any controlled fire. Cellulose-based materials combust cleanly at temperatures above 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Combustion at temperature reduces the volume of the material by 98%. What remains is carbon ash, returned to the wood ash bucket for the uses described above. Local restrictions vary. Most rural and many suburban municipalities permit the burning of paper, untreated wood, and yard waste. Most prohibit the burning of plastic, treated lumber, household chemicals, and synthetic materials. The system depends on knowing what enters the burn barrel. Natural materials only. In states where any open burning is prohibited, the burn barrel is replaced by an enclosed wood stove or fireplace, which performs the same function indoors. The barrel is the rural and suburban version. The wood stove is the urban version. That handles approximately 20% of the average American trash stream when combined with the ash bucket. Eliminated. Component 4. The reuse rotation. Asterisk, the reuse rotation is the rotating system by which every container, fabric, and tool entering the household is captured for a second, third, or fourth use before any disposal decision is made. The cost is $0. It is a behavior, not an object. Glass jars become storage containers. Coffee cans become tool holders. Worn shirts become rags, then quilt squares, then stuffing. Cardboard boxes become garden weed barriers, then compost carbon, then ash. Coffee grounds go to the garden. Vegetable trimmings go to the soup pot first, then the compost pile. Bones become broth, then ground meal, then garden amendment. Stale bread becomes bread pudding, then breadcrumbs, then chicken feed. Bacon grease goes into a jar on the stove and is reused for cooking. Then for soap, nothing leaves the property the first time. Most things never leave at all. Remember, the average American household pays between $480 and $1,560 a year for trash pickup. This system costs under $20, one time, and eliminates approximately 90% of what would otherwise be hauled away. 4 components. Under $20 total, 90% of household trash diverted. The math is the same as it was in 1933. The biology has not changed. Organic matter still decomposes. Wood still burns to ash. Glass still holds preserves. Cotton still holds water. The only difference is that, for 2 centuries, every American household understood this was the basic operating system of a home, and then, in less than 30 years, it was replaced by a truck. Walk through any farmstead in the Ozarks in 1935, any tenement courtyard in Pittsburgh, any homestead in rural Pennsylvania, any farmhouse in Iowa. You would have found the same 4 things in some version. A compost pit at the edge of the garden, an ash bucket beside the stove, a burn barrel near the property line, and a kitchen drawer full of clean glass jars, folded paper bags, and balls of saved string. This was not philosophy. This was infrastructure. From 1776 to 1955, 179 years of American domestic life, the household was a closed-loop waste system. Material entered. Material was used. Material returned to the soil, the fire, or the next use. Nothing left. The Japanese ran a more sophisticated version of the same system through the entire Edo period. From 1600 to 1868, 268 years. The city of Edo, modern Tokyo, with a population over 1 million people, generated almost zero waste. Human, animal, and food waste was systematically collected, composted, and returned to the surrounding farms. Paper, fabric, metal, and ceramics had dedicated reuse markets. Edo was the cleanest large city on earth. With no garbage industry of any kind, Roman villas operated the same closed-loop waste system, with kitchen scraps feeding pigs, ash returning to fields, and reusable goods passed down for generations. The closed-loop household is not American. It is not Japanese. It is human. It is what every functioning civilization on Earth ran on for thousands of years, before a regulatory and corporate consolidation turned the basic act of throwing things away into a billion-dollar service. In 1 decade, in 1 country, it was the most universal domestic system in the history of human settlement. And it took 30 years of legislation and packaging design to bury it. For under $20, 1 compost pit, 1 ash bucket, 1 burn barrel, and a habit of reusing what you already own, you can cut 90% of your household waste output. Eliminate your monthly trash bill in most rural and many suburban jurisdictions, and return your home to the closed-loop system every American family ran on for the first 170 years of this country's history. The complete system, including pit dimensions, ash chemistry, soap formulas, reuse rotations, and the legal status of burn barrels in all 50 states, is linked in the description below. It covers waste, food preservation, cleaning, and home maintenance. Everything your great-grandparents built into the basic operation of a home. In one place, tomorrow this channel will show you the exact $3 lantern that lit every room in an American home for weeks at a time. And why the lighting industry buried it in 1925. Every product in your home once had a $0 version. They buried it. Now you know.